So let's talk about writing the book itself. You said you wrote this first in 2010, right? Or
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
Oh, that's almost 10 years ago.
Oh, yes.
More than 10 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody wants
So,
interested in it.
when you were writing, you wrote this, put it down, and then wrote of Teller of Secrets, or you just revisited this recently, or how did that play out?
Actually, I decided to forget it. I was so brokenhearted. You know, when you write a book that you think you love it and you think everybody else should love it, and then they don't.
Yeah.
I just put it aside and I started writing the Teller of Secret as a fun project for myself, which I enjoyed very much. So I didn't touch it again until way back in I think it was in 2016 or 2017. It was 2017 after I had finished the production of the Teller of Secrets, which at that time was of Women and Frogs. After I had finished with that, then I thought to myself, why don't I pick up this story again and brush it up? Of course, the thing with writing is that you're constantly growing. So when I went back to it, I thought, I don't like this, I don't like that. And so I started basically just giving it a complete overhaul to see if I could, it was like a diamond in the rough. Let me see what I could do with it. So it was in 2017 that I finally picked it up again. I did not even, it was just there in my computer. I did not touch it. I did not even want to see it. I was so disgusted with it.
Okay. But when you were writing, so let's say 2017, when you picked it up again, did you know exactly where your characters were going when you were writing, or you actually had no idea where the characters would end up in your head?
I didn't really. Sometimes I did, because there were, most of the time, one of the weird things and every writer is different, but one of my weird quirks is I always know when I start a story how it's going to end.
Okay.
I know how it's going to start and how it's going to end.
Okay.
The middle part is what I usually don't know, and the middle part is where sometimes you're writing and suddenly, people will say the characters take over and you think, oh, wouldn't it be nice if this happened? Or let me make the emotion really sharp by making this happen. And so, I don't always know what is going to happen, but I always know how it's going to end. I know whether I want a happy ending or a sad ending or a sad happy ending. That I always know, but I don't know what is going to happen in the middle.
Okay. So we'll move on to Ekwa. Ekwa got the opportunity to read the book, the advanced reader's copy. Yeah. How did it make you feel?
It took me through quite a number of emotions. So
tell us about it.
I think my first... so I know you come to this, but initially I was really excited about the Senegal part. I got into it, the party scene, the carefree young girl, finished university, got a dream job, is on her own, which is something that not a lot of us get to experience, because usually you finish and in Ghana you remain with your parents until you get married. So I was seeing a different dimension of what I guess it would be like. Well, I got to go out for my master's, so it was kind of, in a way, that kind of heady sense of liberation, sort of being on your own, I didn't party, but so it was like living vicariously through it. So that part I absolutely loved. And so the next part was kind of like, kind of like a fall for me. A fall, not that it's a bad thing in a book, but it's just, so going through the emotions as a reader, it's like, it takes you through a certain ringer, like euphoric high, and then
you just
come down, and it's like, and the frustration with Lola.
Please tell me about it, because
it was like you had so much going for yourself, and then it's like this just happened. So it was. I'll just say it was kind of really emotional, and just being in the US and then going through the different things, experiences that she went through is frustrating for me as a reader, and part of that is because you kind of identify with Lola. So when she goes through all these things, it's also emotional for you as a reader.
As if you are going through it, and then you think to yourself, I would do that. I would make different choices. I would.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, Bisi, walk us through the writing. Landing this publishing deal, for Daughter in Exile. Was it easy? Was it hard? Usually when authors come here, I want them to kind of explain the whole ordeal with publishing, so that upcoming or emerging writers would also understand how the processes involved or how it feels to go through the journey. So just walk us through the publishing deal as well.
Okay, I'll do that. But before I do that, I want to address some of what she said at the end there, talking about how what she went through, the frustration, and I really can relate to it. And I think that is one of the things that separates people from Ghana, or no, not just Ghana, but people on the continent from people who are in the diaspora. And there is a sense sometimes that we don't understand one another. And even somebody who has lived there, like Ikuya was actually in America, I believe, right? But you were abroad.
Yes.
Even somebody who has been abroad, if you did not have, let's say, if you're being supported emotionally and financially, you don't understand what it is like. But think about when there are things that are happening in Ghana that we take for granted. We take our cultural the way we fit in for granted, and maybe we'll come back to this later on and discuss some of these things, but I understand the frustration, and at the same time, that is why people abroad lie, because they feel they will be judged. They don't know how to let you know how they feel. They don't even have the language for it, and so what they do is they lie. And in writing this, my purpose was to lift the kind of like rip off the band-aid and let everybody see. And then there are people who don't want to see. Oh, you took off the band-aid. That's horrible. I don't want to see it. But it's good to see, to understand. And back to your question about publishing, for me, it's weird because when I started my publishing journey, it was all over the place. You know, the traditional rejection here and there, here and there. But when I finally got publication, it was the easiest thing that happened to me. I think it was also something that and I know it's not fashionable to believe in God and all that, but I do. I prayed for I've always had this attitude of, if there is no way, that somehow the divine will make a way. So I just kept thinking to myself, wouldn't it be nice if something like this just fell into your lap? And what really happened was that I had a very good friend who is a very successful and famous award-winning author, and we used to have such conversations. We would have conversations about publication and that kind of thing. And then one day she just called me, and she actually sent me a message and said, call me. And of course, if somebody says call me when you get a chance, immediately I think, oh my God, what did I do wrong? What's wrong? Now, I'm not going to any bad news. I can't. If you tell me to wait 1 hour, I'll call you the next minute. So I called her right away, and she was very excited and said, I want you to write to this editor. He says to write to him because I was talking to him about your book, and he liked it. And so he says you should contact him. And I had an agent. But at that time, George Floyd had died, and my agent's attitude was that her feeling, her judgment at the time, which was not a wrong thing, thinking, but her feeling was that, we shouldn't appear to be capitalizing on George Floyd by submitting books by black people. So she decided we should wait. So my friend said, you just write to this editor. So I wrote to him and I said, I have 2 books that I've written. One was published already in Nigeria, one which is getting ready for submissions, and my agent has it. But if you want to see this one, and I gave a quick, 1 sentence summary of what each book was about, and I said, you tell me if you want to see one or both. And he said, oh, he would be interested in reading, in seeing the book. And so then I told my agent, and my agent said, well, sure, I'll send both of them to him. And within a matter of 48 hours, he received the books on Thursday. By
Saturday.
Tuesday, by Monday.